Okay, so I saw the tsunami coming in from this in the vision. I was standing right here. I was looking at the balloon sculpture. There were trees on either side, which clearly we found out is in New York. I didn't know it at the time, but then later, like a year later, we found out the balloon sculpture is right here and the building is behind it. So therefore, I was standing here looking at the balloon sculpture, and the tsunami came in from this direction right here. So if we pan out, you can see the sculpture is here on the corner of Barclay and Broadway. So right here, Barclay and Broadway, it's right here. And here's the World Trade Center. Right here, Barclay and Broadway. So it's right here. Here's the World Trade Center. And we keep panning out. And here's Brooklyn, which some of you know I was actually living in Brooklyn in 2011 when I had the first vision of a flood hitting New York. I mean, it really scared me. I was living in Brooklyn and I saw the ocean in a vision surrounding me, and it was about 3 stories deep. I remember that. And back then, we were watching March 11th through the 15th. That was in January and February of 2011, and the tsunami hit Japan on March 11th. So I thought the vision of the flood in New York City must have represented the event in Japan. But that was my first thought. But then in the past year or two, I started having more visions about the event in New York City, including the nuclear event and the boils on the skin. And so then I realized, no, wait, this is actually that tsunami the vision that I had when I was living in Brooklyn of the flood event in New York City. That I think is really about an event that's going to happen in New York City. So if we pan out more, you can see this is the direction of the wave right here, and it's coming. It was accurate in my vision, apparently, even though I didn't even know we were talking about New York City. Because if you go back and watch that vision, you'll see that I thought it was talking about Mexico, but it wasn't. It was talking about New York City, and it's accurate. The wave was coming from this direction, which is where the ocean is. So I really do believe that vision was a warning about New York City. And the homeless Jesus that was in the vision is here east of the Appalachians as well, south of New York. So that tsunami warning is not just for New York, it's for the whole East Coast, and not just the East Coast of North America, but also South America. I mean, that's what it seems like to me, because the vision included the Rio Christ statue, which is right here. So I'm just trying to figure this out as well. You guys know I don't know what's going on, but I'm just trying to figure it out. And the Christ statue in Rio was struck by lightning on the second day of our 3-day watch period in January. That was a major watch period, the first major watch period of 2014. On the second day of that, was a 3-day watch. On the second day, lightning struck the Christ statue. And then the Christ statue was lit up with lights on the second day of the next major 3-day watch in June. Definitely a pattern right there. And in this vision that I uploaded December 15th, 2012, the vision of the tsunami, again, I saw the balloon sculpture, the homeless Jesus, and Jesus standing in the stance of the Christ statue, all in this vision right here. And that stance that he was standing in, I found out later, matches the Rio statue right here in Brazil. So I don't know if this is the statue that he was referring to. And originally I thought, well, maybe it was some other statue, because there's a ton of statues like that all around the world. But considering the events of the last 2 watch dates of lightning striking the hand of the Rio statue on the first major watch period this year, like I saw in the April 2012 vision, and then the lighting of this same statue in the second major watch period this year, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that vision was referring to the Rio Christ statue. And that seems to imply that the tsunami will affect the eastern coast of South America as well. So, I mean, I don't know that. That's just what it seems like to me. So I saw the tsunami coming in from this direction in that vision, in the December 2012 vision, but I don't know where the tsunami originated from. I mean, it may originate in the southern portion of the Atlantic, but this definitely appears to be a warning about an asteroid hitting the Atlantic. We've been discussing that for the past year, maybe longer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check the links below this video. But that's what the Bible says, and that also seems to be what I've seen in some of the visions. And I mean, we know the visions have been proven to come true over the past 3 years. So like I said, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but to me, it seems like a warning of an asteroid impact and tsunami in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so here's the other thing about the event. They lit up the Christ statue in honor of here, the World Cup. So this is an event that, as far as I know, has not happened before. The World Cup only occurs every 4 years, and it's always held in a different country. So the next one in 2018 will be in Russia. So it's kind of like the Olympics, although according to this, the World Cup event is even more popular worldwide than the Olympics. So this event is literally the most popular sporting event in the world. And it opened in 2014, right during our major watch period. And so I'm looking at this, and then it hit me, the World Cup. And immediately I thought of the cup of wrath. It's just all throughout the text. So, I mean, I don't know if it's referring to that, but it says, I mean, these are just 3 scriptures right here. It says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup. And then it says, the cup of the wine of the fierceness of the wrath, etc., etc. I mean, it's just everywhere. These are just a few scriptures. It's all throughout the biblical text. The cup, the cup, the cup, the cup of the wrath. And the cup of wrath in the Bible is directly associated with the asteroid impact. So we talk about that right here. We talk about it in the 7 Trumpets video. It's also linked below. But we're told that the wrath, the cup of wrath, is poured out in one day at the end of the 1260 day or year period. And if you watch the video from last week on Revelation 12, you know that Revelation 12 seems to indicate that the impact or flood, as it also seems to be referred to, will occur not after a 1260 day period, but after a 1260 year period. So right here, we talk about that in last week's video. And we do have a 1260 year period ending in 2014, 2015, or 2016. Right here, which corresponds to the last 3 years of Daniel's week. So the book of Daniel, which also tells us a flood will occur in the midst of that week. So please, I mean, I beg you, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, please watch the playlist link below called Bible Prophecy Fulfilled 2009 through 2012. It explains everything as clearly and concise as I can. I wish more people would hear and receive this information, because basically no one is. And these things are happening exactly the way they were written. So the visions and dreams are happening after they're uploaded to YouTube. Any intelligent person should be able to see it. So I've tried to lay it out as clearly as possible. This tsunami and escape right here that Daniel says will occur in the midst of the 7 years after the idol of terror is placed. Well, that is also seems to be warning about New York City, because the idol of terror was placed at the One World Trade Center in New York City exactly 1290 days after the oath, just like Daniel says. So Daniel itself is referring to New York City, and it says this flood or tsunami will occur in the midst of the 7 years. And then we also had another warning of associated to New York City in the story of Noah. So we talk about this in the Noah's flood timeline video. It's linked below. But we're told that Noah's father Lamech lived 595 years after he begat Noah, and he died at age 777. And then we're told Noah was 600 years old when the flood came. So that is basically telling us that the flood came 4 years after the 777. Well, the 777-point Wall Street crash occurred on September 29th, 2008, which was the standard Feast of Trumpets that year. So this 777 occurred right here. And 4 years later, Hurricane Sandy hit New York City. And 7 years before the 777 was the stock market crash right after 9/11 that occurred on September 17th, which was also the Feast of Trumpets that year. So this timeline started with a New York tragedy, the September 11th attacks, then 2 stock market crashes, both on the Feast of Trumpets, both on the 7-year sabbatical, 7-year sabbatical year, with the second one dropping exactly 777 points, and 4 years later, after a huge flood hits New York City. So this time between the 777 and the flood is what is laid out in the Bible. So after 4 years after the 777, the flood hits. So this timeline right here is a warning to New York. It starts with a New York tragedy and it ends with a New York tragedy right here. It's warning about something else that's going to happen to New York in the future. My opinion, I know, but hopefully, you can see it too if you've been following along for the last 3 years. It's just a lot of going on. But anyway, Hurricane Sandy, like I said, hit New York on October 29th. You can see right here. The storm surge hit New York City October 29th. And it says here it was the deadliest hurricane to hit the United States since Hurricane Katrina in 2005, and the deadliest to hit the U.S. East Coast since 1972. And the MTA, which is the Transportation Authority in New York City, said it was the worst disaster in the entire history of the New York City subway system. So this was a major flooding event in New York City on October 29th, 2012. And what's significant about that date is I uploaded a vision about it a year before, right here on October 13th, 2011. But this vision consisted of 3 events, with the first event occurring in 2011 on October 29th. So you can see right here, I was talking about the hurricane. The second event, the first event was a power outage. The second event was a hurricane right here. This was uploaded in 2011, a year before it happened. The first event occurred on October 29th in 2011. It was the power outage. And the next event occurred on October 29th, 2012, the hurricane. And again, that was 4 years after the 777, just like it was outlined in the book of Genesis. And this timeline also pointed to the June watch period that we just went through at the latest outset. It pointed at that. And then, of course, we had the movie Noah, which was released this year in 2014, which shows the stars falling from heaven. This is a trailer of it right here. It shows the stars falling from heaven and an asteroid hitting the sea. I mean, so that seems to indicate that the story of the flood, I mean, it's Noah, it's a story of the flood. It seems to indicate that, oh, the flood happens because an asteroid hits the sea. I mean, that's what we've been talking about. That this flood over and over is talking about a tsunami caused by an asteroid hitting the sea. So that's, I mean, I don't know. This is very bizarre. Hurricane Sandy, the flood hitting New York City 4 years after the 777, the exact timing in the book of Genesis. So it's calling attention to New York right here. And incidentally, this event right here, this flooding event, occurred in the same month that the Revelation 12 sign occurred. So that seems to indicate that, okay, this flooding event in New York City, this is a sign. This is the sign for you to get out of there. I mean, I don't know. That's just what it seems like it's saying to me. Okay, we're going to start part 3 here.